Thanks a lot for this opportunity. Thanks a lot for the Hudson Institute. It's an honor to be here as Austrian chairman of the Committee for NATO Enlargement of Ukraine. That's very important. Kosovo, Bosnia, Austria and the European Union. This is our summary. I would like to start with a statement that neutrality is absolutely immoral. It's anti-solidarity and it's irresponsible policy. So neutrality must be ended. I'm calling here in the United States of America, don't accept neutrality of Malta, of Ireland, of Austria, and don't offer any kind of neutrality towards Ukraine in a form of a peace settlement. That is absolutely wrong. So here, what we need to do is to have more unity as the answer to the Russian war. This is the aim of our committee, and please support that. I'm also advocating for fast-track EU membership of the NATO allies. America, please support Montenegro in the European Union. Support NATO ally Albania in the European Union. And of course, North Macedonia. NATO allies must have the opportunity to be fast-tracked into the European Union, and that must be a condition as well for EU membership to be in NATO first, because NATO has the opportunity to reform the security sector, the military, the intelligence sector. The EU doesn't have that, and we must here work much faster, more united. So, what we need actually is a new package of a Vilnius group for the 4 countries. Here, Ukraine, Kosovo, Bosnia and Austria must be invited to NATO at the next summit in Vilnius in July 2023. And then in 2024, at the next NATO summit in Washington, membership of these 4 nations must be already reality. And yes, we can. And yes, it's possible. And yes, this is the way to peace, because deterrence works, and deterrence is absolutely necessary for the security of Europe and the security of America. So, Ireland, Malta, Cyprus, why should they stay neutral or non-aligned? It's absolutely wrong, and I call, especially after the visit of President Biden, it's very important now America to discuss Irish neutrality. There's no reason for that, and this will be the next one after Sweden to join, and then also Malta. There is no reason for that. We have to be better than anti-Americanism or some kind of anti-British inferiority complex. You know, there is 1,000 historical reasons why neutrality is reality in some of the periphery nations of Europe, but there is not a single reason why neutrality should be kept, as our future security is not secured by neutrality, but by NATO membership. Serbia in NATO, this is of course a bigger piece of a puzzle, but it's also absolutely necessary. America should not accept Serbian neutrality, because it's a cover, as we just heard from my friend Chedomir, it's a cover for basically pro-Russian policy, and we should, especially now in this strategic year of 2022 and 23, not accept neutrality of Serbia. And I have invited one of the Serb opposition leaders in Vienna to make a clear statement for NATO membership and of mutual recognition between Kosovo and Serbia. This was just 2 weeks ago at the press conference we did, because the idea is basically to make this the key security infrastructure, obviously also that Serbia will turn west, but only once Kosovo and Bosnia are member of NATO. And this is the important next step. The sequence matters. We don't have to continue the appeasement of Russia and Serbia. We must be very clear. First, NATO membership of Kosovo, Bosnia, and then leaders like Chedomir will have the opportunity to lead their countries into the alliance of the West, into NATO as well. And the EU ultimately must join NATO, and this is the absolutely next step for the European Union. And French autonomy, strategic autonomy, is absolutely brain dead, and this is absolutely wrong concept. And we don't want to be autonomous of the United States. You are our ally. You have saved us from the Nazis and from the communists, and you are now saving Ukraine and Europe from Russia, and we need you in Europe more than ever. So please invite the European Union, as a political entity itself, towards NATO. This is also the next logical step of European unification, so that's the road ahead. 10th of January, we have already a basic treaty between the EU and NATO, a big step for our defense integration, and this must be the logic also to continue to have then the future settlement of the general, let's call it European peace order, the Eurasian peace order. And of course here today I'm very honored to be invited the second time after the speech in the European Parliament in January to the Forum of the Free Nations of ex-Russia. And ex-Russia is the term I would like to brand, like ex-Yugoslavia and ex-Soviet Union, it's ex-Russia, and that's the future of that region. And we have to denominate it as a terrorist federation, as a terrorist state, as it is. We had just heard exactly what is the situation. And I have here a very detailed action plan what to do, because the colleague before said we don't have a plan. I have a plan. You know, I have a very clear plan. And we do it exactly as with ex-Yugoslavia. Here is basically how we do. Basically, we suspend Russia from the UN, we kick it out of the Security Council, and then we integrate it in the Council of Europe, as it was until recently. It's no problem for the 31 new states to be in the Council of Europe as well, into OSCE. And then we have a very detailed action plan, like we did it with ex-Yugoslavia, in the Regional Cooperation Council, in CEFTA, and with currency stability, with DCFTAs. We exactly know what to do, and together we manage the ex-Soviet Union, we manage the ex-Yugoslavian situation, and we will manage the ex-Russian situation very successfully. So, some small moments in history, because some people say it's unprecedented. It was never done. Austria and Hungary, we started a war against Serbia. I have apologized in January in the European Parliament to my friend Chedomir for that terrible crime, and we were punished by America by dissolution. We were punished, and it was justified. So there is no reason for basically keeping Russia alive artificially after what they have done in 2022 and still doing today. So the history of federalism, that was an option before the war. Austria also had plans for a federalization. It was in 1910, but not in 1918. So I was also personally in 2017 writing a lot about the federal Russia. That was all a nice idea until 2022, but no longer. Now it's time to dismantle Russia into new states, and it is absolutely with historic precedents. To the leaders of the new nation, I say exactly learn how Mr. Masaryk did it. You have to change the American opinion. This is absolutely critical for the success of all these nations. Don't copy what Yugoslavia did. Don't copy what Romania did. Don't do internal conquests internally. That is the wrong way. It's the exact dissolution according to the Yugoslav model which has to be used here, and replace the evil empire with 7 better new states. Of course, Yugoslavia was a very bloody dissolution war. We can avoid this if we prepare it better, if we accept the reality of new nations, as the Austrians, by the way, have very much said in the beginning of '91, Alois Mock has said that very clearly. The faster we accept the new nations, the better. But there was a lot of resistance in the West because of some idealism of Yugoslavia, same as we have it here today, also seen by some representatives. But that's absolutely wrong. We need here better, new, smaller states, and they will work much better. With America Together, my dear mentor and friend Erhard Busek, who passed away last year, we set up a system for helping the new states how to cope. That is called the Regional Cooperation Council and the Central European Free Trade Agreement, and of course 20 other organizations to teach regional integration to the new countries, how to work together better. And that exists today, that mechanism. I have lobbied for 5 years for Ukraine to join that. Unfortunately, it was still today not possible, because in the international community there's a line of thinking, oh, the ex-Soviet Union is different than ex-Yugoslavia, we have to keep them separated, you know, it's all very different. And in Ukraine everybody said, oh, we are a very special case, we are not like Macedonia, don't treat us like Macedonia. And this was all a bit messy. It is time to end this kind of divisions of the regions. We have just one European Union, one NATO. If you want to join us, this is the way, and we have established a mechanism for stability and regional reform, which is working extremely well. Dr. Buzek has managed that, and in all sectors we have all these institutions like the transport community, the energy community. This will be extremely helpful for the new countries to learn from the beginning how to work together, and it's working, this mechanism, so I'm calling to use that. As we have discussed already, I put the pictures here. The US and the EU will not actively support independence of the new nations for the fear of stability, and we have seen it that James Baker went to Yugoslavia, and George Bush, he went to Kiev to advocate keeping these failed unions alive, because everybody was used to them. It was practically to talk to one guy at the top to manage the situation there. But this is all the wrong policy. But don't expect active encouragement from the West, because that is not going to happen. You have to create facts on the ground. You have to declare independence. You must be ready and show that you can do responsible statehood. And then, by the way, America was the greatest supporter of Croatian independence once it was under threat, and once there was a war by Serbia against Croatia. America will help you once you have created the facts, once you're in threat, as America is now helping Ukraine in this war. So, lessons for ex-Yugoslavia and for ex-Russia: prepare the world opinion. This is what this conference is about. This is very important. And exact structure on which institutions you will be part already from the beginning. Here is again OECD, the Council of Europe, EU Free Trade Agreement. So you will have a regulatory economic framework, which Professor Aslund has mentioned is so important. Yeah? Aspire to be global partnership of NATO. Aspire to join the Central European Free Trade Agreement, the Regional Cooperation Council, OECD membership, and of course the EU Customs Union and the Eastern Partnership can be easily extended for all the new countries, and currency pegged to the euro. So that's the economic reconstruction plan for any of the countries which is emerging, and it's very clear, because exactly this we did for Macedonia, exactly that we did for Bosnia, and it exactly works very well. And please recognize Kosovo, by the way, immediately. So, in all this to happen, and I call here in America again for more military support for Ukraine, and America has still decided not to send military airplanes to Ukraine. This is a very big mistake. I call for the United States of America to send F-16s and F-15 fighter planes to protect the tanks which are now going to liberate Mariupol. So this is very important. If we somehow, for some kind of fake restraints, we don't support Ukraine fully for the liberation, we will pay a heavy price. Imagine a failure of the counter-offensive now will have tragic results and will encourage Russia for more aggression. So it's very important to liberate Mariupol and to provide more military equipment from the EU, from the European partners, but especially in the terms of air superiority for the Ukrainians. This is absolutely vital, and nobody can really understand what's going on with America. You have liberated Kosovo, you have liberated Bosnia, and now you have this kind of piecemeal approach towards Ukraine at this absolutely vital, crucial crisis of our time. I'm really astonished that this is not done up to now, and I hope the next months will see better results. Here, on the global scale, what is important? We have to kick out Russia out of the Security Council of the UN. And this has never been deserved, that Russia has inherited the Soviet Union seat, and this must be done now. And India must be inside. We have to basically make an agreement with India to join the Security Council, and Russia, because Russia actually has only 1/10 of the Indian population. So here the logic is very clear. A more complicated topic, in 1 minute explained. We have the issue what exactly to do with all the new states. Some of them can join the European framework, some not. This is the association of Northwestern Association of States. It's the model of ASEAN. ASEAN is the association of Southeastern European states. So I call to prepare already for all Boratia and Saka and the others to have a new form of international federation established. This is very important. And here, many of the Asian states in Russian Asia will join exactly that federation. and the fall of Russia is imminent, of Putin's regime, exactly as it was in Yugoslavia. So I have made a very detailed video about how this has to happen. And there will be the 2024 presidential elections. They will be faked. Putin will manipulate them completely, as it was in Milosevic's case in September 2000. And then on the 5th of October, there was the revolution breaking the Milosevic power. And exactly the same has to happen in the case of Russia. For March, the fake election, a Pyrrhus victory of Putin. And then in the summer 2024, I expect a revolution in Russia to come. I still have 1 second to say something. I have here a clear, that's especially for my American friends, for the UN reform. This is very important. The EU must be in the UN Security Council and nobody else. The French seat must go to the EU, and the Russian seat must go to India. And here basically also then the Association of Northwestern Asian States must get a seat in the UN Security Council. We must put the UN reform on the global agenda. That's absolutely important. In the first war year, we have achieved about 10 good things, but there are about 40 institutional issues which we have not solved. And if we don't manage our world system better, then absolutely we will not be very successful, but we can. Our system works, our global system works very well, and you are welcome to join it. I call for the independence of the 41 new states, and then the integration in that institutions is working very well. And I want to thank you very much for this opportunity. And please challenge all people who tell you something about neutrality and support Austria, Kosovo, Ukraine in NATO. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Our next presenter is Edward Lucas.